Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nolo Bududu and this is the secret life of my PhD, where we talk all things productivity, motivation, education and high performance. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you for liking my videos, for commenting. I love hearing from you and it just encourages me because then I'm like, okay, people are watching and it is helpful. So I really love hearing from you. So please continue to let me know what you think and I will continue to make content and grow and become better at creating content that will get you fired up in your studies. And today I hope is no different. I want to talk about motivation to study, but not so generically. So I want to focus on those points in time when you've fallen behind. Okay, when you've fallen behind. So I'm going to use myself as an example. In my studies, there have been times when I have not done what I was supposed to do, okay? Done the wrong things. In the thesis, what we call it, what the dissertation was called ABD, anything but dissertation. So where I have engaged in anything but my studies and therefore fallen behind, okay? And what I noticed is the more I fall behind, the more demotivated I become in my studies. When I start to think about my studies, I think about it with guilt that, you know, this is something I'm supposed to be working on, but I'm not working on it. I feel shame when I think about my studies at that point in time, you know, and I start to, you know, replay that word, the cassette where you're thinking, if you know what a cassette is, the tape. I start to replay the tape of like, you know, I should have worked more on my studies. Why didn't I work more on my studies? What was I doing in that time? I'm not serious about my studies. How do I think I'm going to get this right? You know, so I start to really beat myself up. And the longer I stay away from my studies, the more I feel like that. And you get to a point, or at least I get to a point where I won't even call it I'm demotivated. I really feel like whipped by my studies or whipped by my mindset regarding my studies. And I've noticed that at that point, you know, it's so important that's the hardest part to get through. To get from that point of beating yourself up because you've fallen behind and then getting into I'm going to study and work and forget about the fact that I fell behind. And it feels so lax, you know, it feels like, oh, I'm just going to forget. But really, that's what you need to do. So for me personally, when I have been in those situations, I've realized now that accepting that I have fallen behind has been very important. Where I just accept that, you know what, Nolo, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You've disappointed yourself, okay, right? But you're still here. You cannot live carrying that disappointment. So what are you going to do going forward? Forgive yourself and move forward. So that is very critical for me in just getting back on, you know, the path of like studying and being committed to my studies, is really just forgiving myself for not doing what I was supposed to do. And it can be so difficult because, you know, if let's say the reason why you fall back on your studies is because of like hectic work commitments or, you know, something important, then it's easier for you to forgive yourself. But when it's because you really were irresponsible, we are very unforgiving of ourselves. But you really need to do that. And I don't know who I'm speaking to today, but you really need to do that. If for whatever reason you haven't done right in your studies, maybe you've been studying and you failed and you've even stopped registering for the modules, you really need to forgive yourself for not having done what you did, or forgive those forces that resulted in you not succeeding in your studies or doing what you were supposed to do. So that's important. I found that I have had to forgive myself. And then also accept that, like, especially when I lose time, accept that, okay, fine, I've lost time past, right? There's time that has gone and I've lost it, but I still have time going forward. I can still make use of the time available to me going forward. So sitting down and meditating on the time I've lost is not really going to help me. And it's not an indication, the time you've lost is not an indication of the success that you can make that you can have in the future. I think when we look at people that have succeeded, what we assume about their story is that this person wrote down a goal, wrote down a plan, set out to achieve that goal according to the plan, and then did everything according to the plan, and that's why they succeeded. I think that's the mindset a lot of times we have of how people succeed in life. And I don't think that is always the case. I think in most cases, people write a goal, people set a goal, people have a plan, and many times things don't go according to plan. But I think the key thing with people who do succeed versus the people who don't succeed is that the people who succeed continue when things don't go according to plan. They decide to carry on. They don't sit in the guilt and the shame and the disappointment of the plan not working for whatever reason. They decide that, okay, things haven't gone according to plan. For whatever reason they haven't gone according to plan, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to continue. So for me, that has been so important. And I noticed that when I actually shift into that mindset of, okay, Nolo, get over it, continue, and start focusing on going forward, I feel so much lighter. And it's almost like you're starting over again and building again. And the little bit that you do each day starts to encourage you to, you get more motivated to do the work. And again, when you get back into studying, it's not like you're going to be flying. Sometimes you have to start crawling all over again, like it's from the beginning. But just staying in that space and not focusing on what you've lost, but recognizing that you still have an opportunity to make things work and focusing on that. For me, that has really helped. But I have to emphasize, it is tough to get out of that spot. And what I want to say to you is, be aware of that. Be aware that it's tough to get out of that space when you've let yourself down or you've fallen behind. It is tough. But also remember that most people go through that. Most people who have succeeded had that moment when things didn't go according to plan for them. The reason they ended up completing successfully is because they continued. And a lot of the times the people who failed decided that point in time, it's over for them. So it's not over for you. You've messed up, dust yourself off, and continue. It is tough to do that, but it is something that you can do. Yeah, that's my video. So that's what I wanted to say today. Motivating yourself to study. Sometimes watching a video gets you motivated, listening to a tape, hearing someone's story. But sometimes you need to just say, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I've messed up, but I'm going to continue. So I'd like you to just please continue. All right? Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you next week. Bye.